Hello all, I'm Gunther, I know games and I play games, and today we're doing a little tier list. Someone suggested it, and thank goodness someone already made one, so I didn't have to go through the hard work of making it myself. This is all subjective, so just go with it as you may. This is not a, oh, this is how you have to play the game. I don't really believe in that. You play it how you feel, whatever items work for you the best. So for me, I would say S tier is I take it every run, or I would definitely go for it. A tier means it's good, it's great, functional, take it. B means it's okay, it's all right. I don't, C and D just to me feels like it does a job. It, like, I feel like for D it had to like really be a detrimental thing to take or be a waste of money. C just means I just really use it over another item. So I guess starting, I'm putting, I think this is a sword. I have it open in my separate screen, so you probably hear the music coming in. But this one just strikes directly ahead. I think it's okay. I think the only real plus about it is how low the cooldown is, but compared to some of the other stuff you're gonna get, it's kind of not the greatest. Arrow, I think, is B, just because, like, it's a good starting item. I think it does the job really well. But if I had to pick an item, if I had to pick it from the actual pool, I would never really use it, but it's not bad. Spear, I would say, is A tier, mainly because of the hitting two enemies. Think that, or hitting from two away. So that makes it good for getting rid of spear enemies, getting rid of enemies that are behind other enemies. It's just generally a good item. And this is not even accounting for, like, any bonuses you get onto these items. I think that can also vary and make these better or worse. I think in general, cooldown is just amazing for a lot of this stuff. Double swing, I think this is A. I think it's good generally. I think I should take it more often than I normally do. I'm gonna just 1 second, because the music doesn't really loop that much here, so I'm just gonna lower it. So like this item I think is good in general as just hitting both enemies. You put an affliction on it, giving it double strike or anything like that makes it just immediately that much better. What is this one? This is charge. I don't really use charge that often. I think it's good, but I would rather use dash since it's free, and I just don't see it as something I'd be using that often, but I think it could be good with certain other items. I think when we get to the actual relics, that'll also change up. That might change my thought process on where some of these sit. I think that's the same thing for the back. I think these are good just for getting in and out of damage in combat, but I don't pick them up that often. Shuriken, I think, is C. I'm going to say D, only because I never use it. I don't think it's a good item. I think the arrow is already better than it because it does more damage. The +2 cooldown is fine because the only, like, if you get +1 cooldown on this, +1 damage, it goes to 2 damage and 4 cooldown, which makes it better than the arrow, but I have to upgrade it to make it better than the arrow, which I think is automatically just not great. I should be picking this up more often. It's really good for getting through enemies and getting around them. I think a lot of these also, your mindset on how these work will change based on what afflictions you get on them. But just for me, off rip, I like this as a decent item. I need to take it more often. Bow staff is A, just because you can make enemies hit each other. It just makes it generally good. I'm putting the second. Sorry, my alarm's going off for me to feed my animals. So I'll do that in a second. Lightning, I think, is S tier because it's really good for getting rid of enemies that are further in the back. It's really good for the dashing enemies. Any enemies with projectiles, pretty much any troublesome enemies makes it solid. The knockback punch, amazing. I need to take this more often. I think maybe I do take it, but I need to take it more often than that. I need to take it +1 more. It's just really good for getting enemies out of your face, knock them into someone else. You have to kind of be smart about how you trigger certain things like shockwave with it, because I think it triggers off of the enemies next to them when you use it, not if the enemy is hit by the knockback. It's a little tricky, but good. Grappling hook, I would say, is a decent item, B. I don't see it make or breaking a lot of runs, but I can see it being really good for just getting enemies closer to you to do setups. Bear trap, as much as I love bear trap, I'm gonna say it's A or B. I'm gonna say B only because I love it. It's amazing, but it just, like, because of the uncontrolled nature of it. Actually, no, you know what? I'm gonna say A Because I think about it, with being able to swipe characters around or them dashing at you, that makes it instantly a lot better. Smoke bomb is S tier. There's no explanation needed. It is just get yourself out of dodge. You get free play on this, and it immediately becomes amazing. Now we're going to the movement abilities, which I don't use enough, which I should. Teleport to center, I think, is a B, only because it just brings you to the center, and on certain maps, that doesn't solve the problem. Swap toss, I think, is an A, because it's really good at just getting you out of the problem, but you have to make sure you're not at the wall on either side. I would put this mirror in B, just because it's also the same problem of, like, it's good based on where you're already standing. I also might adjust these to see what I think is the highest between everything in them. Dash, I think, is really good. I like it, especially with the item that makes you do more damage after you've moved. It's just great for getting either into a fight or directly out of a fight if you kill someone. Turn around, I think it's decent, but the problem I have with turn around is I don't have enough instances where I need to use it. It is never like a I wish I had it. Sometimes it is, but it's never the normal for me. Curse is immediately a good item. It just makes all of your damage do double damage. It's free to play. The best you could do to it is give it more cooldown, and then you're set. We all know I fail about the crossbow. Crossbow hits multiple enemies. You get low cooldown on it. I've learned that double strike on it is good, but zero cost is amazing, because then you could just reload it on your own terms, and it's infinitely better. Because the problem with the double strike is double strike's only good with the combo synergies, and if you don't get into a good combo synergy, it falls off really bad. I need to use this more often. I think that Earth Impale is good. I would say I'm going to put this in the same idea. I would say this is only better because it hits in front and back. Yes, this does 3 damage. You probably can't see my cursor. Let me see. Let me make sure you can see my cursor, because I just realized that I'm probably moving and you cannot see when I'm highlighting things. Give me 1 minute. Okay, I'm back. I think it was actually showing it. I'm just silly. Let's do that. Okay, so where am I? So I think I was finishing up with... So yeah, I think the Earth Impale and the Scythe are both really good, but the Earth Impale is a little better because of the hitting from behind. I'm putting this item in D. I still have not found a good reason for Tetsubo. It does a lot of damage, but for 4 damage, the cooldown is immense, and it just doesn't do enough. Kunai's S, because it hits multiple times, so you can kill an enemy, then kill the guy behind him. If you get Shockwave on it, it's amazing. Poison's pretty good on it, but I would argue Shockwave is the best on this item. Blade of Patience, D. I could see it being really good. For me, I guess I'm not patient enough to make it work. I think it just has a lot of fallbacks. The Matchlock, I'm torn. So, I keep calling it the Matchlock. It's the Tengishi Mount. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go with the Matchlock, because I'm gonna pronounce that terribly. I think it would be S if it wasn't for the fact that it knocks you back and that can make you take damage if you hit an enemy. That's the only thing I think is bad about it, but technically that could also, on how you play, be a good thing, because then you could hit that enemy and get that kill because you've done the 1 damage. Backstab, I don't see a point in this item. Backstrike, it feels like you took apart the front slice, like just a regular sword, and then just put it there. I'm gonna say both of these are in there, just I feel like I would never take either of them. And now we're gonna move on to relics, and I'm gonna say some of these kind of vary based. I think if we actually first we can kind of organize the attacks. So I think in the D rank, going based on what I would take over not, I would take Shuriken over all of these just because it's damage, and if you get the low enough cooldown, it's decent, but it's kind of not that great. The only thing good about it is because it's such a low cooldown, you can get good synergies added to it. Same thing for these two, for the front and back strike. Turnaround, it's by itself for me right now. I might put something else down here. Arrows, decent because it's just a good cookie cutter. Back and forward dash are good. I would say this is better, only because you can do damage and go through multiple enemies. The grapple hook, I think it's good where it's at. Teleport to center but move down, only because it's so circumstantial for me that I never end up using it. Like, same with the mirror. I can feel like these are probably really good, but if I had to talk about getting a free-to-play move that was going to get me out of trouble, I would rather put that on Smoke Bomb or the Dash In or Swap Toss. Next up to A tier, I think Matchlock's up there, but that is me being biased, so do not take that as like a... Take that with a grain of salt. Why isn't it letting me move? Okay, there we go. Double Strike think's good. I would say the Spear's technically better than it, only because... I mean, they both are about the same, but I would say Spear just feels better for me, because I mainly want it because I want to get rid of the problem that's behind the enemy I'm hitting, more so than the enemy that's in front of me. Bow Staff, I think, is good where it's... I think it's good where it's at. Actually, no, I'll put it higher. Just because it's really good for getting trouble away from you and making enemies kill each other. I'd move the Bear Trap lower. Probably keep this... I would say this is better than Bear Trap. I would say Dash in this are in a good spot. Probably Swap Toss is higher than Dash. Even though Swap Toss can have a... Swap Toss can be a problem only because of you not being able to actually use it in the way you need to, because you're facing a wall. And then in regards to top, I'm going to be biased again and put these two at the highest because they've saved me on so many runs. And I'm going to say Smoke is higher. Curse is the most important in my opinion. I would say you always want to prioritize taking Smoke, because everything else here, just even with base, with upgrades, is great, but Curse is always good just to get you that extra damage to go over. And kind of how you combo, it's amazing. Smoke Bomb just gets you out of trouble. Crossbow's just amazing. Like, need I say more? And then the kunai is great. The more damage you put on it, the more kunai you throw out, the more you can clear out. I've gotten amazing combos with this thing, especially with Shockwave. It makes it just amazing. And then getting into some of the items here that can also get even better. Big Pockets, I would say, is A tier. It's good to have. More potions, the better. Honestly, I might say higher. If you have the free gold to throw to it, I would say go with it, just because the potions can be really solid. Backstabber, I would say, is decent, but I don't use it enough. Like, I think if you're using a lot of moves to maneuver enemies, it's better, but for the most part, most enemies will be facing you. And with most of the things you're using that are ranged, they're always still technically facing you. I would say Sniper is S tier. It is definitely amazing. I think where I first saw from my couple of my later runs that extra damage from being far away is just so good. And with moves like the Dash, the Smoke Bomb, there are easy ways to get enemies far away from you. So it's pretty easy to trigger. Unfriendly Fire is decent. I don't take it that often because I don't normally make enemies hit each other, or I don't rely on that as much to get the kill. I mainly rely on just turning them around to not hit me. But it's good. Mindfulness, I would say, is S tier. It's really good for anything with a long cooldown. It works for your main ability. It just is good all around. If you have high to low to medium cooldown, it just always is a good item. With the combos, these are all counting on your run and how early you get them. I would say Combo Coin is amazing early on, and it falls off later on, obviously, because you have less combos to get. And then Combo Recharge is great early on. It falls off. I might put it to A along with the coin, only because these two fall off. Actually, no, I'm going to say this is S, because the coin fall off is bad, but the Combo Recharge just saves you in so many encounters that it's just amazing. It's just really good for any encounter that's not a boss fight. Like, that just makes it amazing. Triple Combo Heal is also good. I think it's only A tier because it's not going to make or break your run unless you're really struggling. Like, if you're struggling to kill enemies, then there's a separate problem from needing to heal. I like getting it because sometimes I play stupid, but I would say it's not going to be the thing that's going to change your run as much. Combo Curse is amazing. You just have to keep in mind that it can trigger in the middle of your combo, and you want to play around that, kind of. The fact that you can't control it and it's random can be a problem, but for the most part, it's always going to proc for you and always going to work in a good way. +2 max HP is okay. If you're getting hit a lot, just don't get hit as much, I guess. I have that problem a lot, but I think it's really good on higher difficulties. But I'm gonna say it's a little higher just because it is relatively good. I think that starting with the shield is S tier because it's just way better. You get to circumvent a damage, and as long as you're not getting hit twice, it's just really good. After taking damage, getting a shield, also really good, especially if you're worried about getting hit a lot. I would argue it's S, maybe A. Shields carry across fights. I'm gonna put that into D. I only really get it because I have like extra gold lying around, but someone could kind of point out that it's not that great, and I have noticed that you don't really feel this doing anything for you compared to the other items. And then we get to the shoves. Well, not shoves, sorry, the dancer abilities. Being able to use your ability while not facing an enemy is S tier because it gives you a lot more maneuverability and ways to solve problems. It makes turnaround immediately useless because the main reason I want to turn around is to use my movement ability, and having it just there is just better. Quick recovery is always good, especially if you get multiple of it, because getting your main dancer ability more often is just good in general. Gets you out of a lot of problems, can get you the kill. Just especially for the Ronin, I would say it's amazing because you can just shove enemies and just get them to kill each other and not have to worry about it. Extra damage on your abilities is good. I just don't care about it as much. I feel like it does a good job, but I end up forgetting about it, and then it ends up getting me kills, which is good, but it also can be bad. I think it's a good item, but just for me, I don't think it's great, but I think it's a really good item. I know I don't use it well enough. Same with the moving gets you more damage. I think that's really good. I don't use it enough, but I should be using it. I'd argue these two are very, very solid and would be S tier for me if I just use them better, and I should. But they're generally good items. And I'm not really going to reorganize these ones as much. I guess I should. This one can sit where it is because by itself. Between making enemies do more damage, I'd say making enemies do more damage to each other is better than making enemies hitting enemies for more damage from behind. Unless you find a way to get always behind enemies, I just don't see it being as useful. I would say getting the combo for coins is best. Your shoved, your ability, your dance ability doing more damage is better. I would say the dash is better than that, because if you make a synergy where you're moving in, it immediately makes it better, and certain characters aren't even move. I guess it doesn't really count towards that combo, but I would say it's really good. Healing from combos is good in general. I'd say it's better than healing from instead of more max health. And then getting hit shields you is great, but I would say not getting hit or healing is better than, getting a shield after getting hit. But I would say I honestly might put it higher, only because it kind of mitigates it and almost gives you another set of HP. But with the upward cap of, I think most hits, the biggest it goes like maybe 2 or 3 or 4 if they combo. Counts on that. But in that case, you get hit the first time and then avoid the last hit, which is good. I would say I think that Sniper is the best of them, but it really counts if you're going for a range build, but I think it's just good in general. I'd put the shield up just because you lose a little bit of health, but every fight you have health. I would move up this and the curse, but it counts on how early you get it. I would say bag might be top, only because it's just, if you're not playing on the harder difficulties, you're playing on the regular, that would change. I might lower it, actually. If you're playing on the regular, it's amazing. If you're playing on harder, it can be good or bad, kind of how much RNG hates you. If you don't get a lot of items, it ends up just sitting there being a waste, but I like it because it means I can kind of stock up on healing potions to sell for money if needed, or to use just from fights and not have to worry about like, oh, what healing item or item do I use to make sure I pick up everything off the floor at the end of the fight. Cooldown on your special move, I would say, is better than doing it. No, I'd say no. using your move backwards is good, but I would suggest getting these two in tandem just because the extra cooldown to use it from the using it backwards should be covered by something else, and I would say keeping it back to the base is just really good. So right now, this is my basic tier list. You can agree with it, you can disagree with it. I am not a pro at the game. I just put a lot of time into it and really enjoyed the game. I feel like I might change some opinions on certain things here. Like, I would say if I was going to do this based off of synergies like shockwave, poison, and ice, it would change where a lot of the attacking moves would go. I don't think it would sit in the same way. Also double strike, sorry, I forgot double strike. But I think generally speaking, this is a pretty decent way to kind of, if you're having any struggles with your runs, kind of going based on this might help you. I would say, especially for the attacks, some of the ones I've rated as lower, I would say you can make them good in a niche category, niche way, but the stuff I put higher, it has less of a problem to it. So it's just always kind of good, so you don't have to worry as much about how do I make this work with my build. But yeah, thanks for checking me out. I might be doing some more Shogun content later. I'm waiting for them to put out more updates, but thanks for checking me out, and if you liked it, please subscribe, and come back for more. See ya.